Welcome to this live stream today from Heathrow to Istanbul on the Boeing 777-300ER flight Turkish 1986 and the call sign Turkish 5 Whiskey Echo. So you can see I've got all the flight plan here. We're gonna be flying obviously today, 29th of September, Heathrow to Istanbul on the 300ER Tango Charlie Juliet Hotel, call sign 5 Whiskey Echo. It's route number 1 going via 27 right in Heathrow and deadling departure. And for the moment, I put runway 23 in Istanbul via the NSO arrival. It might be runway 05, but the wind is changing there, so we'll take the longer arrival to get a little bit more fuel there. So we should be going at 8:15 Z, so I'll get a bit of a move on. We should get there by 12:05 Z, 3 hours 50 block time. Otherwise, cost index 200, we fly a little bit faster. Initially fly level 350, we've got all the data there. Trip fuel 23, just over 23 tons for a flight time of just under 3 hours. The alternate is the other Istanbul airport, Sabiha Gökçen, with 2.5 tons and release fuel of 30.9, which actually I'll need to change that in the simulator. And yeah, then we've got planned zero fuel weight of 233 tons, and all the weights are within range. The flight plan, nothing really major to note. We'll see further on. It's a fairly long route, so it's about 3-hour flight. And yeah, alternate, as I said, 6,000 feet, 2.5 tons, and it's basically a direct routing, which is good. Got all the spot winds here. Should we need to adjust the FMC. And the flight plan is the Turkish 5 Whiskey Echo on Boeing 777 Whiskey from EGLL to LTBA. And we've got 2 days date, correct aircraft registration, and everything is in order there. Just a quick look at the weather. Heathrow at the moment, it's fairly cloudy, some short forecast for some light rain and lower cloud base, but still decent enough. And yeah, that will be more or less the forecast for the time of departure. For Istanbul, Kavoki at the moment, fairly light wind, and the forecast, as I said, it's kind of northeasterly wind, but there's that tempo there for the time of arrival for 230 at 12, so it might be runway 23, we see. And Sabiha Gökçen is more or less the same weather, but no forecast for that southwesterly wind. Then we've got some weather en route if we need to divert, but don't anticipate that really. And that's pretty much it. And we've got the wind charts, and yeah, there's nothing really there to note. So I'll come back to the beginning, and I'll jump in the simulator, and we'll see you in 2 seconds. Here we are in the flight deck 777-300ER, Turkish Airlines. So, as I said, Turkish flight 1986, call sign Turkish 5 Whiskey Echo. So like always, coming into the flight deck, checking everything is in order. On the tech log, there's no defects with the aircraft. Everything is working nicely. And the first officer will do the initial flow, the preliminary pre-flight flow, just to get things in order. And we'll do some security checks as well. Talk to the dispatcher, everything is in order as well. Expect a fairly busy flight, so we'll get cracking. First flow.
Okay, will do. I will do the exterior inspection for you, Captain.
Okay, so like always, as he's going outside to do the walk around, we can see he's gonna come off at some point. We'll start doing the preparation on the FMC. So we'll jump in the FMC, check the correct ident page. Model is a 300ER, engine rating is good, and the nav database is all correct. So I can move on to the next page, the POSINIT page, enter the reference airport, EGLL for London Heathrow, and then the GPS position here, which is all good. Then we'll request the route via the data link system. The route is saved, and we'll simulate the data link system to request the route. So we've got the route on request now, and the request is now sent, and we should get the reply fairly quickly. Yeah? The route 1 uplink is ready, so we'll clear the message and load the uplink, and we've got the message route 1 uplink loading, which we can delete. We'll have to enter the call sign, so it's THY 5 whiskey. On the real aircraft, it's quite important to enter the correct call sign here, because the transponder is also sending the details of the aircraft, and in particular its call sign to the radar. So if this entry there is not correct, then air traffic control will get a wrong return from the aircraft. So it's very important to get it right. So then the route, we'll quickly check the flight plan just to make sure it's the correct route. It's a fairly wrong route. Detling, Perlima 6 Dover, Perlima 9 Conan, Perlima 607 Ritsu, Per Zulu 7382 Unken, Perlima 603 to Zagreb, I think it is, Papa 735 to VPA, Per Mike 19 Etida, Mike 19 Letva, Tango 72 Relax, and Lima 867 to NSO. So you tell me, why do you check that? Well, the uplink can be wrong, happens in real. Here maybe not so much, but in real you'll have to check the uplink is correct for your flight. Anyway, the PerfNet page, the reserve, we have the FMC reserve today is 5.8. That's just a default value, so I'll go 5.8. The fuel weight is already there, and the cost index we said is 200 from the flight plan, and the cruise CG will go to 30%. So that's it. Now we go to the departure arrival. We're gonna depart from runway at 27 right, and this is the Detling 2 Foxtrot departure, and we'll execute this. And we'll come back to the route page, make sure we've got the runway there, then check the departure routing from runway at 27 right. We're gonna go to 2 miles, then pick up a left turn towards Epsom 138, that's correct, and then 092 towards Detling, and at the hotel point, which must be 5, 6, 7, 8 miles to Detling. Yeah, here it's a little bit different, 6,000. Anyway, that's good. I know that's the 5, 6, 29, 272 hotel. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's all good. We'll load the wind data and the route 1 data page. We've got all the winds there, which is good, and they do make sense. And then load the forecast descent as well. And yeah, that's good. Distance 1388, just as a gross error check as well. 1388, and we have 1451 because we don't have the arrival, so this total distance there is smaller, of course. Route copy onto route 2, back to route 1, and there's no uplink outstanding, so it's good. We'll leave it onto the perf page. One last thing, 6000 there as the transition altitude, and change the transition altitude for Istanbul later on. And yeah, we'll just get cracking with the pre-flight checklist. First of all, pre-flight checklist.
Pre-flight checklist. Oxygen.
Tested.
Flight instruments.
Heading set, altimeter set.
Parking brake set. Fuel control switches cut off. Pre-flight checklist complete.
Okay, so we'll enter the performance for the aircraft. 3. Okay. Give us a gross weight of 261.2 minus the taxi fuel. We expect a takeoff weight of 260.4. So that makes sense. Then we'll go for derate, and we'll take probably a small assumed temperature as well. Maybe 38 degrees, just a tiny bit. 40 is fine actually. 40 degrees, that's all I bold. 90% N1 should be enough to take off from Heathrow. Flaps we'll go for 5. And we'll change that as well. 1000 feet, 3000 and 1500. So 5 CG 6.5, that's 163 and 168. Cool. So 168 up here, that was not far off. Airnav, VNav, track 272, altitude 6000 feet initially. So the ground connections can be disconnected. We've got parking brake set. So we'll come up here, ground connections. This is obviously not in the actual aircraft. This is more like a simulator thing. And we'll just go back to the doors page. See what happens. Let's have a look outside. I still have a couple of containers to load. We are getting a little bit behind schedule, which happens. So pretty much ready to go. We have everybody on. We're just waiting for the last containers to come on, and then we're good to go. So while we're finishing the last cargo containers, we can start closing the doors. And we'll arm them as well. You wouldn't really arm the doors before the cargo is all on and everything is clear around the aircraft, but to gain a little bit of time, we'll do that today. Just waiting for these cargo doors now to come to the closed position. So at the back, the last cargo bit is coming on. At the front, there's still one more container to come on. Cool, boarding is completed. So, if boarding is completed, I can do is closing the doors first. Before start flow.
Roger. Recall. Engine shut down. TCAS off.
Cancel ICAS.
ECAS clear. Pressed. Ready for before start checklist.
Before start checklist.
Before start checklist. Flight set door.
Closed and locked.
Passenger signs as required. MCP.
Set.
Takeoff speeds.
Set.
CDE pre-flight.
Completed.
Trim.
Set.
Taxi and takeoff refit.
Completed.
Beacon on. Before start checklist complete.
Cool.
Departure check completed. Light has been inserted. Release parking brakes. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start that wheel.
Sorry guys. First question, how many years to get your pilot license? Kind of to get to the professional license and instrument rating, about maybe two years or something. Doing it part-time. Start the right engine.
Engaging starter engine 2.
And
Start valve open. Engine 2 N2.
the trim, to move the trim, I've got two buttons set on the joystick for that, so it's quite convenient. I use the joystick to move the trim up and down, and so I don't really use the keyboard keys or anything. It's just
Fuel flow engine 2.
two buttons are set on the joystick. The 777 doesn't auto trim. If you're flying manually, you'll have to trim yourself. However, when the autopilot is engaged,
Starter cutout.
then it
engine
does trim itself. Start the left engine.
2. Starting there.
Start the left engine.
Starter engaged. Engine 1. Start valve open. Engine 1 N2.
before taxi flow.
Okay.
Set parking brakes.
Recall ready for the checklist.
Parking brake set with 2 good starts. We'll see you on the left with the pin. Cheerio de now. Cool, thank you very much, TFF 703. Excellent gaming GX. Hey, thank you very much for the follow,
Unlocking gear.
Gaming X. Thanks. Welcome on board, sir. Welcome to the stream.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass main removed.
So is he still down there? Yeah, he's walking away. Flaps 5.
Flaps 5 selected.
I'll do the flight control check. And the rudders as well. Cool.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
So that's the tug with the tow bar. They're gonna go away. The little guy, where is he? Down here, he's waving. Okay, all good. And before taxi checklist.
Before taxi checklist. Anti-ice.
As required.
Recall.
Checked.
Auto brake RTO. Flight controls.
Checked.
Ground equipment.
Clear.
Before taxi checklist complete.
Ready for taxi flow.
Sure. Ready.
Let's go. So here we are, 27 right, it's the correct runway. There's nobody on the approach, which is good.
Approaching 27 right.
That's confirmed.
On runway 27 right.
Excellent. Let's go. Takeoff. Thrust ref. $80 knots. Hold.
V1, rotate.
Gear up.
Gear coming up.
The weather is not too bad.
Gear up and secured.
Flaps 1.
Flaps 1 selected.
Flaps up.
Flaps going up.
Set altitude 10,000.
Boss, confirm altitude.
Set altitude 10,000.
Lovely. Setting altitude 10,000.
Cool, autopilot is on, and after takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. Landed gear up. Flaps up. After takeoff checklist complete.
Perfect.
Boss, confirm engine shutdown.
Negative.
No worries, Captain.
He's mental. He wants to shut down the engine. I'm saying perfect. He goes, engine shut down. Oh man, you've got to watch these pilots. So we'll go all the way to 350 now. So like always, adjusting the track bug towards the actual track line, so along the magenta line basically, which is depicting our route today. $10,000 climbing floor.
Okay.
See, we have used the same command from the bot. Yeah, so that's basically the reason. I don't really want to talk about it too much. Oh, there's a little aircraft down there, 1,200 feet. It's way below. I think that's a Biggin Hill. Maybe, I'm not sure. It might be doing circuits there. Yeah, there should be a bit of a tailwind on the flight. The flight plan says average wind 26 knots on the tail, so it should the wind should obviously decrease a little bit later on, because at the moment it's quite a lot. We've got 66 there. The actual wind component you can find on the progress page. That's page 1. And then if you go to progress page 2/4, you've got the wind component here. So T wind is tailwind, and at the moment we have 56 knots tailwind component increasing, and X wind, crosswind, right 38 knots. The wind is coming a little bit from the side, so, and as it's quite strong, it's giving us a crosswind component as well. The SAT here minus 13. That's the temperature outside. That stands for static air temperature. So just the actual temperature outside at almost 20,000 feet. And yeah, if you're wondering what this temperature is here, that's the total air temperature, and the total air temperature is the sum of the outside temperature and the heat generated by the aircraft traveling through the air. So as we are traveling at 320 knots, obviously it's creating a little bit of friction on the aircraft skin outside, and creating a little bit of heat. So that explains why obviously the temperature is obviously warmer there than the actual outside temperature. Is just because of the heat generated by the aircraft traveling through the air. Does the use of RTIs reduce efficiency of the engine? Yeah, the RTIs kind of uses a little bit of bleed. If we look, hold on, let's have a look at the air synaptic. I can't see from this angle. Hold on. Yeah, if we look at the air synaptic there for the engine anti-ice, you can see there's a little bit of a kind of a line here with the valve. At the moment the engine anti-ice is not on, so the valve is closed. It's the same on both sides, and basically the engine anti-ice is the front of the engine, the kind of front of the engine nacelle there, which is heated up with bleed air coming from the engine, and so using that extra bit of air from the engine kind of decreases slightly. It's very light, the engine efficiency. So on takeoff, for example, if you are in in icing conditions, if it's fairly cold or if it's snowing and there's, you know, obviously a bit of moisture around, if you take off with the engine anti-ice, basically there's a little penalty on the takeoff performance, but the performance penalty is very small. It's maybe, I don't know, 300 kilos or something. It's really small. But yes, it does have a little bit of an impact on the engine. So far so good. Let's keep it that way. Jimmy Johnson HQ, the scariest thing. As maybe once, not in my current airline. That's why also you see I don't want to talk too much about the airline I'm flying for, because if I make references like this, I don't really want to quote actual airlines and stuff. But once before, the scariest thing, if you want a bit of, you know, excitement, is kind of doing an approach in not so good weather, you know, with like thunderstorms around, and trying to kind of find your way around, and then at some point we kind of realized that this was not really looking very good. And at the time I was a first officer, and I said to the captain, you know, that's not going to work. You know, I said, let's get out of here. And yeah, that's what we do. You know, the guy was trying to work, you know, on making the approach, but I could see that, you know, the speed was all over the place and there was turbulence and stuff, and I said, no, that's not gonna work. Let's get out of here. So yeah, that was maybe not the scariest moment, because we didn't really you know, get ourselves into too much bother, but it's maybe the only time where I felt kind of a little bit threatened in the aircraft, but otherwise all good. Morning, Criminal Network. How are you doing today? DK James, yeah, 570 knots. Yeah. If the wind, I've seen winds of 160 knots, 170 knots. You know, jet streams. That would give you, if it's right on the tail, that will give you a ground speed of 650, 660, something like that. So yeah, in the actual aircraft, speed within our path. So yeah, you can, if the wind is nicely pushing you on the back, then yeah, you can achieve quite good ground speed.